They brought Florence to the US.
Yeah, from
So he brought Florence from Italy.
From Italy to the
and
US.
Florence still got here before him. The situation was very, very interesting.
Hey
But,
guys, what are you guys talking about, man? What's going
What
on?
are you talking about?
Oh man, you always talking about me. I'm sure it's nothing good that you're talking about me.
Wonderful trip to
Ah
Florence.
man,
Was
let me join you guys. Look, guys, stop talking about me. Talk about Florence, not
Oh,
the
you
one
like
that.
Florence?
you brought Florence from the
yeah,
US,
I did.
from Italy to the
yeah,
US.
I tell you, man, that was some experience. But anyhow, guys, you know, there's some things running on my head.
A lot of stuff.
I know you always do. Things are always running on my head. I have some questions, guys. I think you guys can help me.
Okay.
We'll try.
I don't know, but we'll see. You know what, Kenny? I just want to say, let me ask you, Kenny, because you know you seem you seem the most handsome of all these guys. So let me ask you first.
He enjoys it, right?
Yeah. But even though I'm joking, Kenny, don't get too don't get carried away. But anyway, Kenny,
Go ahead.
the Bible says, "Spare the rod and spoil the child."
Right.
How do you deal with that? Knowing that the rod wasn't spared on all of us. I don't know about you guys, but I got a lot of rods on my back. So how do you do
I got the
that?
stripes.
Yeah, I got stripes. So how do you spare the rod? How do you raise a child now in this country, knowing that the environment, the system doesn't allow corporal punishments like we enjoyed? We enjoyed. So what do you think?
So you're talking about how do you balance bringing up children in this environment whereby you're still able to talk to them and correct them without having to use the rod?
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, I think that's better illustrated with an example, I think, from my own perspective. I'll tell you a very good example of what my son does. And he's done that a couple of times now, and we had to correct him. So my wife and I would cook. She does the cooking most of the time, but I would chip in there every now and again.
Okay.
And we'll call my son down to come and set the table, which is, you know, it's nothing difficult. He will set the table quite all right, and we'll have our meal and everything. And as soon as we finish eating, he will just get up and take his own plate, just his own plate, and go off to the kitchen. And so we'll have to call him back and say, "But Isaac, come on. You know, we did the cooking. We did all the slavery, you know, slaving away of the cooking and everything. So isn't it only fair that you also, you know, just clear the table? Because you set the table. Isn't it also fair that you clear the table as well?" And it would just, you know, you could see his face changing almost immediately that you say that well, I'm not your servant, you know, kind of attitude.
Okay.
You know, so you have to sit him down sometimes and explain to him that, listen, no one's calling you a servant. It's out of respect that you do this thing. It's part of who you're going to become when you grow up.
Okay.
You're going to start to learn to do things for us as a family, because at some point in time, you're going to have your own family as well. And you're going to learn to do things for them as well, because this is when you need to start to learn now.
Okay.
So when you put things to him like that, explaining why you should do those things, then it kind of relaxes.
Okay.
And but you know, back in our day, if you try that, trust me, you know what you're going to get.
The belt will be the one.
You know what you're going to get. So
let me ask somebody who was a victim of a lot of belts that I'm aware of. You know,
I'm sure you're not talking about.
You know, without mentioning names, but Okwe, let's just assume. Pac has a whole lot of different kinds of belts, but we know what will happen to your back. But tell us, what is your perspective?
Well, Bible says that clearly, but you can always, you know, different variations to this thing, ways of which can introduce discipline. There's a thin line as far as the kids are concerned, the way I saw it growing up and the way I tried dealing with the kids. There's a thin line between discipline and punishment. When they perceive it as punishment, they won't take it. They try to rebel against it.
True.
So you talk to them, explain, you know, certain things that we didn't enjoy. As we grew up with brigadier generals and major generals around us, our mothers were, you know, governors running a major ship. They tell you how to do it and how to even breathe, you know. So, you know, you try to explain to them, work with them carefully, because that's the only thing you expect that they will take away from home way after you're already gone stage left.
Okay. All right, Pac. We know that you're a recipient of
serious recipient,
because you still look like it sometimes, you know.
I went through corporal discipline.
are you serious?
I'm really serious.
Wow.
I grew up in an area where that was very, very tough, where the neighborhood I grew up
feel
with,
you.
tough neighborhood.
Wow.
My dad ensured that we received not just ordinary whip, the horse whip.
Wow.
Interesting.
In America, a lot of people consider that as
Child
child
abuse.
abuse.
Abuse, yeah, of course.
But to me, if my dad has not instilled those disciplines, I would not be here today because the youth that I grew up with then, some of them, went into some other rough stuff, and the life expectancy at that age, in that neighborhood then was about 17 for the youth.
Wow.
So it was a tough neighborhood.
Wow.
So looking back today, I'm happy that my dad instilled those disciplines. So when I came back, when I came to the US, I started having my children. Even though I kind of pipe down on those kind of discipline, but once in a while, I use.
You're tempted.
I don't miss corporal punishment because you see, I have three tough boys. Sometimes I apply corporal punishment. As they grow older now, those corporal punishment has stopped. I no longer use corporal punishment, but I discuss with them more often now. I let them see reasons with mistakes they make, and I, try to take them through the things of the Lord. I teach them the Bible to try to see that, they must, carry the teachings that we give to them, the biblical teachings, the parental teachings, out, when they go to colleges, when they go amongst their peers because of peer pressures. So communication is the key.
Okay, excellent. You've heard from three different men. I can say that at least you use modern equipment from the horse whip, which was used. You now use belt, I imagine. So you use he used modern equipment for his own version of corporal punishment at that time. But of course, the bottom line is, from what you hear, communication is still the key. Talking to the boys, talking to the girls, and making sure that they understand what they did wrong. And if you're going to apply punishment, it's going to be in other ways other than corporals. Because I'm sure none of us want to end up in, where we don't want to.
Yeah.
So that's good. I like that. I'm going to ask you a couple more questions. I hope you guys are ready. Okay? Now, how do you deal with this issue of cross-cultural conflict? The things that we don't allow in our culture and what we allow here in this culture of our newfound life, America. So how do you deal with cross-cultural conflict in your households? Things that you don't want to make your house look weird. How do you deal with that? Let me start from Park.
Yeah, the way I deal with it is this. I always tell my children, know thyself. There's a word by, if you read Treasure Island, there's Jim Hawkins was always reminded, know thyself. That wherever they go, they should know thyself. Know thyself means know the son of who you are. Whether in church, at home, or in school. Because we spend very few time with them at home. During the week, we spend barely about 10 hours together with them. And so I tell them, look, I teach them the Bible. We do morning devotions. We read the Bible, understand the Bible, understand what are the requirements, what is required of them. The character requirement is listed. They know what is expected of them. And if they go, so that when they go out, they know how to behave and what to do.
Okay.
Yes, there are some things that they still do, peer pressure, but they must not let me know.
Okay. Opie, what do you think about that? Knowing that you're a general in this field.
Why are you always picking on me?
No.
But you know what's interesting? The other day I was discussing with Kenya, and something like this, similar to this, came up. And we were wondering, so what are those things that we grew up with that these kids see as weird if they tell their peers outside? Right? And you wake up in the morning and you think we were talking about washing our parents' cars.
Oh, yeah, that was
and then waking up and then making sure that your room is already fixed and stuff like that. They see it as weird, So what I see with the kids of today that we didn't go through, right, was questioning authority.
That's a big one. Yes, question you. Yeah.
We, on our own, taught them to question authority. So we then have to be that patient to teach them, remove the weirdness that their peers outside would otherwise have seen with them, to say, well, you're headed home. Why are you in a hurry? Well, my parents expect me home before midnight or before PM. Something that tells them that they don't only respect their parents, they sincerely love their parents enough to obey them and follow their values.
That's interesting. That's interesting. Yeah. Kenny, what do you think about that?
Well, I have a son growing up here right now, who I would say has been brought up in two different cultures. The cultures are similar, but there are some salient differences. So my son was born in England. He grew up until about 16 before he came over here. So he's about 18 now. And so therefore, and I can see the way he was when he was in England as to the way he is right now. Not that he's, doing anything bad or anything like that. There are no, thankfully there are no any bad influences. But the other day he came home and he made sure he got me in a very good mood. So he goes, Dad, I said yes. He goes, what do you think if I go and pierce my ear and have an earring on? And I said, and as you know, that's just the beginning of something.
Some other things.
He's going somewhere with that.
Yeah.
So I said to him, I said, well, okay, you think about it. Look at yourself. What do you think you're missing as an individual that you need to add to yourself that will make you look better than the way you look? Why do you think you need to add an earring, or you need to start wearing an earring that will make you look better than the way you look now? And of course, when I flipped the question like that to him, he kind of thought, you know what, for a second, this man is talking sense. Why do I need it? And eventually the conversation ended with him saying to me, you know what, I think it's a bad idea. I'm not going to get it. And of course, last year, I remember he had these ripped jeans that he was wearing all over the place. And this was more than ripped, to be honest with you. This was something else. So I called him one day, I said, what is this? I understand fashion as well. Don't think I was once your age and I understood fashion. But this is not fashionable. You've got to do things in moderation.
Interesting.
Everything has to be done in moderation.
I like that. Yeah. Do things in moderation. And you can hear from your different perspective. From my own, let me give you a couple of quick examples. Cross-cultural conflict, for example. I was teaching some kids not too long ago about how to, when they were applying for the American visa, that was when I was in Nigeria, doing some training. And I see the difference, the most notable difference. I had a kid who was trained in Nigeria, who was trained never to look in the eyes of an adult. And he goes to the embassy, and the officer is talking to him, and he looks down like that.
Of course, they think he's lying.
Guess what? Yeah. They get denied. Yeah, so I had a kid that was denied 3 times. So I said, why? He told me, I said, oh, this is why. This is what you need to do. And eventually, he went back. He recorded what I told him. I went back and he got a visa. I said, no, look into the eyes of the person. So that's a very distinct cultural conflict. We're trained to not look at the elders. In Nigeria, I can remember, you look up, your father or your mother will say, "Hey, no over there." And a slap comes to that, a quick slap. If you're like my mother, who was a pugilist, who could just get you within a few seconds, on your cheeks, you know what I'm talking about. So you know that you don't look into the eyes of the elder. But here, if a child is not looking into your eyes, you're lying. So big difference. But guess what? We have to teach them. So as to this, that we need to teach these kids about the environment they're in. So it's good for us to notice these things. So, but anyway, a couple of other little things going on my head. Okay, I have a big head and I have all these things running on my head.
Because we're about to get to that area where we're wondering to ourselves that, are we getting paid for this?
Yeah, don't worry, you'll get paid. You're going to get paid. Your wife's going to cook some good, nice meal. Food. So, but I must comment on your socks, gentlemen. I like your socks. Yes. Today's dads are wearing different socks. You can see that all of them have different multicultural. I'm still a little bit conservative. My kids say I'm a little conservative. You are. Yeah. But Kenny is a little bit. He's wild. Okay, he's wild.
This
Kenny's a little bit in between. Kenny, yeah, that's what I like that bold. But guess what? The kids like that. They like you. They'll say, oh, you know what? That's a
good one.
The kids say, yeah. My kids say, Dad, you took
real men wear pink.
Yeah, of course.
You like that?
Yeah, I like that. Okay, all right. We'll talk about that some other time. Can you guys just tell me? Okay, and I'm going to start with this. What do the kids go through now that we didn't go through?
Oh, my goodness. Quite a lot.
Pressures, man. Environmental pressures.
I was sharing this recently with my wife, knowing that, the pressure these kids face. Everything is recorded.
Oh, yeah.
Growing up, you remember, you need access, physical access to my slum book
Yeah.
to read whatever my
read your
opinion
mind,
or my
yeah.
thoughts are. Now, no, it's out right there on the
It's out
social.
there.
Yeah, it's on the social media.
With 1,000 likes.
1,000 likes. The moment you type it and you hit send,
Send.
that's it.
I believe that
You
by
can
now
pull
you
it
are
back,
fully captivated
but
by the
somebody else
responses
has
to the
already
questions that
recorded
the
it,
gentlemen
and
have
it
answered
stays
so far.
like
Forever.
There are
forever.
more questions,
So those are,
but
that's some of the
unfortunately,
pressures
this is
these
all
kids
that can be
I
shown
think
in the
they're
allotted
facing there.
time.
I mean,
To
outside
see
of
the
us
whole video discussion,
attending
go
few
to
parties with
YouTube
our
link
buddies
shown
back
on
home
the
and
screen.
stuff like that,
Be
not
blessed
being
as
in
you
the
do
group
so.
where people are invited to parties is one thing. The other one, the biggest pressure we had was, how come Yele is first and you are number whatever else? That's pressure for us. Around here, that's not pressure. For them, they want to binge drink, they want to do all these other things. And I really don't envy them. I feel for them, and I think we need to put some mechanism in place that we can help them overcome some of these, things that we can see are actually affecting them. The drive for them to want to go from good to better to excellence is something that needs to be considered. It really bothers me, and I would hope that some of our our organizations will step up and help with it.
Okay, do you have a different opinion, Kenny?
Not necessarily. I agree
You agree with all
perfectly
the
with
question?
everything he said.
Okay, okay.
But
How about you, Pat?
today,
Yeah,
but go.
Yes,
sorry.
yes, I agree completely with what Opes said. Social media is the major.
I was just going to say that as well. Yeah.
Social media
Major
is a major
impact on families
impact
now.
on
Absolutely.
families.
In fact,
Absolutely.
social media raises kids
From
along with the
children.
parents.
Yeah, from
exactly.
children.
And I'm telling you, I tell my kids a lot of times, what they put on there, the employers are even looking now.
at
Before
it.
they employ you, they go into your social media
Social
record and they
media
look.
over the years.
People have
For
been
real.
denied employment for that.
For real.
Most of these kids don't know that. They
Shall
show
I
some
just tell you
funny
something?
pictures.
Yeah. I was at my son's school meeting the other week, just last week, and one of the teachers was saying that there's this website called Namvians.
Oh, Navians.
Namvians, you know
Yeah.
Namvians. If you're in 12th grade, you have to use Namvians quite a bit. And he's been using Namvians. So the teacher was saying, this college advisor was saying, telling them, he said, if you're on Snapchat, on
Instagram,
Facebook, on Instagram, so
They'll
must
follow
you
you.
be on Namvians. Because basically was just drawing the parallel between all the social media pages and Navians, how Navians is important for them.
Yeah.
But she realized that they were not using their Navians. They
Oh,
were
yeah.
not saying nothing about themselves, but they would go on the social media on a
yeah.
daily basis. In fact, some kids on an hourly basis. So the pressure on them, like you said, you don't envy. We need to find a way to help them to reduce all these burdens and all this pressure. Because the pressure is real. And if you look at the statistics being sort of churned out on a yearly basis or even monthly basis by the government and different charities up and down the country in terms of teenage suicide
Yes,
rates.
it's gone up, yes.
It's concerning.
Part of the pressure is caused by the social media. We
it's
see that.
concerning.
Yeah, you see,
It's very concerning.
social media creates isolation. Because you see, when you think you're communicating with others, you're putting a facade that is not you, putting on a facade that is not you. And deep inside, you know that
It's a different...
it's a different thing. It's a different ballgame. That's why, when you are out, you are not out of social media. That is, when your life outside social media is now an isolated life. So
you go
you're
into
by
depression.
yourself. You go into
It's
depression.
depression.
And that
Yeah.
depression is what causes,
Yes,
we said,
suicide. Yeah,
suicide
it increases
rate.
suicide rate. I like that. I like that perspective. You can see that social media, if not well managed, it could really hurt our families.
Yes.
It will hurt
I
the
agree
children.
with you.
Today's dad must know social media. Let me tell you something. Just doing some quick analysis. I would say maybe only about 20 to 25% of parents are aware of the impact of social media on their children.
Right.
And it doesn't stop you from not giving them a phone.
phone.
I've had parents who don't give their kids phones,
Yeah.
but the kids do more on the computer. They do more on the computer.
than on
They
the phone.
use the computer for telecommunication with whoever they want. They have total strangers as friends. It's a little bit, you as a modern parent, as a modern dad, and a parent for that matter, you need to be aware of the
What
tools
goes on.
and how to use it to the betterment of your family. Otherwise, they can wreck, social media wrecks family, even for adults. Even for adults, they
Absolutely.
wreck families.
Absolutely.
So that's a very interesting part. These are
Absolutely.
things that we never went through.
Of
The only
course.
social media we did was boxing. If you say something, we box ourselves.
Like he says,
you know.
slum books.
Yeah.
After that,
You know.
pen pals. That's it.
Yeah, pen pals. I'm sure you wrote a lot of those letters.
trust me, I
We won't discuss it because, you know, but
I
those,
did.
those letters you used to write to, we'll talk about that later. We'll talk about that later. But anyway, gentlemen, how do you manage your commitment to God and the impact on your families? Commitment to God. You need to be in church at 8 a.m. You need to wake up the kids.
Oh, yeah.
You need to wake up the kids. There's that, look, Dad, don't worry me. But Mom, you know, it's always a struggle. And as you get older, guys, it gets more interesting. As your children get older, when they're kids, it's still easy. Just bundle them and they still sleep in the car. But when they become middle, 13, 12, 13, 14, you see the resistance that is almost,
yeah.
you almost cut it with a knife. The resistance is so clear. And they start to get to be teenagers, it becomes like, Dad, I don't feel like it. What do you do with that?
But I think to an extent, maybe there's an element of that. But also, if you look at the flip side of this, where you've brought up these children in a Christian environment, so they've been used to being bundled into the cars and brought to church every Sunday morning and taken back home in the afternoon and all that kind of stuff, or even during midweek services. So to an extent, they're already used to that kind of lifestyle. So I suspect, but then again, don't take my word for it, but I suspect that the resistance will be very, very limited. Okay. That is not to say that you won't get it, because sometimes some things become monotonous.
Okay, true.
And for children, monotony is just, it's not interesting.
They don't like it.
It's
It's boring.
That's the word I'm looking for. It's boring. So maybe with some children, you may not necessarily have to work so hard to get them to set them on the straight and narrow. But with some children, once they get to that age where they think, you know what, when this man is not looking, I ain't going to that church.
I ain't going. Pak, what do you think about that?
But you see, the way I handle that is this. Apart of bringing them up from childhood to know God, when we have events, our Christian events, I take them to all our events. My boys were in charge of MOV Audio Media for many years, you know, for Men of Valor. They were handling the audio media for this thing. So what I tell them is this. If you serve God, God is going to help your destiny. My boys want to do, there are so many things they plan in their life. They want to become, they want to do this. I said, look, you can do nothing except God allows it. True. And when you look at stars, they want to
be stars.
They want to be stars.
Yeah.
So I show them examples of stars who are God-fearing, who are born again, who goes about. So I give them those kind of examples. So if they mention, oh, this football star, I said, look at this football star. It's born again. Look at these guys. They all have, you know, vests that show Jesus is Lord. Look at the World Cup. You see Messi scored or Neymar scored goal. He opened his T-shirt. He said, Jesus is Lord. I said, God wants to showcase people who he can depend on, who will serve him, who will be an ambassador for him. So I use that example to let them say, look, if you want to get to that level of superstar, you must get God as your partner. You must be in partnership with God.
Good. I like that.
And that's, you know.
I like that.
And it makes all things possible.
Yes.
Opie, what do you think about that?
I mean, well...
Serve God and prosper.
Yeah, well, listening to both of them, it makes sense to me. The only thing I kind of like wonder is, so how then do we, you know, what crosses my mind almost all the time is there are times when you need to take a trip, you know, family trips. Would probably sometimes be around Biazo and things like that. Trying to explain to my children that, well, we really can't go, because you know, we can't go on a cruise because Biazo is, you know, and then you want to explain to the kid, Biazo takes precedence over the trip. How do you explain to a 10-year-old, you know? It's a balance for me, you know, where I say, okay, you know what, maybe I'll skip a retreat, you know, that will fall on one of their, public holidays or midterms, and let them be aware of it, that, look, there's something going on in church. I won't go because I want to take you here. So when I'm taking you to Biazo or I'm taking you to winter retreat, it's, you know,
it's a balance.
It's quid pro quo in this
Excellent.
case. Let them understand that I'm also sacrificing for them and some of the things. I mean, at least my family after God comes next.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I like that. I like the fact that you tell them about commitment. You understand? Commitment. And there's nothing, you don't prosper without committing to anything. And like you said, you commit to God, you give him your time, you will always prosper. You understand? So that's not to say that there's some athletes who are
does
not,
not, yes.
who don't prosper because they're not godly. There's a
don't.
lot of them who do well and they have their head screwed on tight
you're right.
and they do well. You understand?
You're
But
right.
it's good to showcase the ones that,
That
these are
do,
Christians,
yes.
so, which is
You're
good.
right.
And you
Yes,
want your
you're
children,
right. You're right.
these are good role models for them.
Yeah.
So we try to balance the real world
Balance
because
and-
if you just tell them that one skewed view, trust me, these children are smarter. They can go on the internet and say, Dad, they're like, this
about
is only
this
like
one?
5%. They're like 99% who are not this and they're doing this. So what do you want to say to that?
But
So you want to be, we want to always be sure that you have a fair opinion. Because, like, for example, if you live in my house, when you have like almost 4 teenagers at the same time and they're always arguing and they have facts and they're Googling everything, I said, Dad, that's not correct. Dad, no, that's not. So you got to make sure your facts are right.
Are right,
You
absolutely.
cannot be, when they're still young, you can be saying stuff. But when they get older, you need to be able to give them something. So say, you know what? It depends on you guys, but this is my own opinion. And if they see that it makes sense, they will always go with it.
Absolutely.
So that's that. Okay. I think finally, I'm just going to get something out of your heads a little bit. You know.
You still haven't finished?
Yeah, just one little one. This is a quick one. This is a quick roundup. Okay. Considering the fact that we did not get counseling during courtship, how do you get your offspring ready? How do you get to this man ready? How do you get to this man ready? Knowing that the way we were trained from our father's stage, our dads were like that, and our
Girls
mothers
will
were like
say,
that.
yeah.
Boys
You
will
know,
say,
but now it's like we
gotta
have to
marry.
be. Today's dad must be everything. You must help your wife in the kitchen.
Yeah.
Wow.
You must help her wash the car and fill up her gas tank. Otherwise,
You'll be driving,
Yeah, exactly. So you must help her.
Okay.
You must help the kids. You must take them to their sports. You must put them in the way of God. Today's man is a little bit more complicated. What do you guys think?
Yep.
So how do you think today's man can be prepared? How do you prepare your boys? How do you prepare your boys to be men? Boys to men. How do you prepare them? It's very important
He
thing.
has 17 years. So what do you think?
Boy,
Kenny, I hope
It's
your
a-
son is not going to rebel with all this
I
stuff
hope he's
about
watching
that
this.
poor guy.
no. By His grace, He wouldn't. By His
that.
grace, He wouldn't. It's a very one of the most difficult and complex things to manage is communication.
Yeah.
It sounds very simple,
Oh.
and it looks very simple. But communication is one of the most complex things to manage. For me to speak and for you to hear exactly what I'm saying, even though you're sitting right next to me, it's one of the most complex things to manage. So you need to develop a way, I think, in my opinion, whereby your son is like your sheep. So he hears your voice. And once he hears your voice, he knows exactly
you.
what to do.
Yeah.
I have a way of communicating with my son. Sometimes I don't boom, boom, boom. I'm not bombastic.
Okay.
I communicate with even just a simple word or a simple sentence. I just say it, just a simple sentence. I remember when he was a much younger, when he was about 5 or 6 or 7, I used to say, when he's been naughty, I used to say something like this. I used to say, I am not going to repeat myself. And believing that's all I needed to say at that time, I would not repeat myself. And he knows exactly what I meant. And he will stop right there in his tracks. Seriously.
You don't have rebellious. You don't have rebellious. Not rebellious. Not rebellious. Not rebellious. You don't have interesting kids like Elliot.
But that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. That communication is one of the most complex things to manage.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
Between
I agree,
adults
yeah.
or
I agree with
children.
you. I agree with
But
you.
once your child understands the way you communicate with them, and they know that you're not correcting them because you just feel like correcting them or telling them off all the time, it's because they are making a mistake. And you want them to see the error of their ways, hence why you're telling them and you're correcting them.
Okay.
And that's why it's very, very important for you to know your child and know how you communicate with your child. Because once you know your child and you know how to communicate with your child, believe me, with the Holy Spirit, because we cannot
We can't
in
do
any
anything
way,
without-
shape, or form
Okay.
exclude God in all this.
Okay.
But
okay.
So,
What do you have to say, Pa?
But see, in my own situation, I have 3 boys.
yeah.
And those 3 boys have their own unique characters.
Okay, yeah, of course.
Unique characters. So you have to communicate with them differently.
Of course.
You cannot apply one size fit all for
Yes,
when dealing with
absolutely.
every one of them.
Of course.
My youngest son is quiet, and my middle son is all over there. My eldest son thinks, he's hype, he's everything,
He's the business.
He's the best thing that has happened to humans since sliced bread like pasta. So you have to relate to them differently.
Absolutely.
And, they tend also to take advice from their peers.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Peer pressure. They think your advice or your way of life is outdated.
Yes.
So sometimes I tell them, look, just a few years ago, I was thinking the same about my dad and my parents. I said,
That's
but now, the school that you are, the same thing you do in the school, we did the same thing. But I made some mistakes that you are now about to make. But it would have been better for you not to make the mistakes I made because I made that mistake. I'm advising you not to go through that path that I went through.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm here. Don't think I went to school too. The same thing you're facing, I faced it. Even though the only difference between when you went to school, when you're going to school now and when I went to school is social media. That's the only difference.
Okay, I'm going to ask Ope, because you have a unique quality amongst all of us here. You're also a grandfather of a teenager.
Yeah, you better recognize.
You don't know that? You think he's your mate? Because you're all in the same bracket.
You're a grandfather?
Yes,
He's a grandfather of a teenager. His first grandchild should be in college by
She's
now.
in college, 200 level.
Yeah, he's in college right now. So,
You're a grandfather?
yeah, he has a.
Oh, yeah,
but guess
right.
what? Guess what?
He
has.
must have had his child.
Don't worry about that. No, we discussed that
When it
off
was
the air.
13,
Don't worry.
13.
Maybe
Oh,
12.
yeah.
But guess what? Opie has that advantage. But he has mostly boys. He has like 15 boys.
A lady, there's only
Jesus,
5
sorry,
of
yeah,
them.
okay, I'm
Everybody
sorry.
comes
I
to
look,
talk
10,
to
I'm sorry.
you.
I think I got it wrong. I'm sorry. Because we're always coming for your naming ceremony, so that's fine. Okay, it's okay. It's not good. Don't worry. But Opie, what perspective? And you're unique because you only have you have a couple of granddaughters now. He's a man of many boys. That's why he's always
I have three granddaughters,
strong-headed. Yeah.
3 granddaughters and 2 grandsons.
Yeah. So what do you think
So your
about that?
experience is
What do you think about that? What experience? Why do you think, based on what we're talking about? What's your opinion on that?
Well, it all depends. I mean, if you're talking about grooming, today's man grooming the next generation for marriage or how they can, they can respect life and then gradually grow to respect their spouses and stuff like that, that's a different ballgame. But if you're trying to communicate with them, well, don't forget, you're moving past several generations to get to the grandkids. With my own children, it's a blend of my mom and my own experience, where she would find a way to yell at you, and even the dog chasing you will reverse. And my own way, I would have to talk to you in a very calm way, which I try my best to, and let them understand, hey, listen, I don't necessarily have to agree with you. You don't have to agree with me, but we must be reasonable with each other.
Absolutely.
The things that we want to do. Absolutely. Bottom line with them that I raised them with is, you don't have to obey me. You don't have to follow my instructions, but you must consider it.
Absolutely. I like that.
Whatever I share with you must be considered, and you can come back to me to disagree. Then I'll let you know. Okay. You own the decision. Yeah. The responsibilities is yours. Handle the consequences.
I'll throw you my perspective. I have 3 boys and I have 1 girl. Though my girl is like, she's almost like, in terms of all the attributes, maybe like all the other boys combined, she almost like, she has more of my qualities than, which is a little bit,
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Just stop right there. But I have 1 daughter, and she's very strong-willed. My first son is probably just like your first son. Very calm, chill, no problems. The middle one, whatever goes, let's do it. The last one is a little bit heady, but it also goes. But my daughter, oh my God, she has opinions. Dad, she has opinions anti everything you say. She has data backing up her opinion. So before you speak, you must be confident about what you're saying and it's the right thing. And like you said, one of the things I say, you know what? This is what it is. One thing I say to my kids is, you make your bed, you're going to lie on it. Yes. You don't have to believe what I'm telling you now. But guess what? You may believe what you want to say, but ultimately we'll see. And if you make a mistake, and guess what? Sometimes making a mistake is the best thing that can happen to them. It's not always bad. Yeah. So when you say that you went through it, sometimes the punishment or the mistakes you made is what made you who you are. We didn't die from our mistakes. Yeah, if a child doesn't listen, no problem. Do what you want to do. But remember that I said this. You make your bed, you lie on it. And so all the kids know that, Dad, we know that. So they always say, Dad, we know what you're going to say. And guess what? The thing is this. When they were growing up, I am not a big fan of corporal punishment because my father never really beat us, but my mother was the chief of police.
Some few ones.
I got a few ones. Daddy will beat us maybe once every year when you do something major. Like you lie or you want to mess up the family name, then dad will beat you,
Mess up
and
the
he
family
uses a
name.
belt. Yeah, something a big time crime will commit daddy to. Otherwise, every other crime, momsy, like that. That's normal. That's how we grow up. So I only beat when they have committed something. My wife, she's doing the role of what my mother did. Sometimes they do a bit better,
Swatting.
swinging and all that stuff. But no, that was when they were younger. But ultimately, I found out that as they grew older, we were just talking, we just have fun. I said, guys, what do you think about what? And they said, Dad, man, we prefer what mommy was doing, beating us. Because once she beats us, that's it. But when they said, all of them, oh God, Dad.
Another family
you said,
meeting.
Another meeting, and then that's another hour of talk. And they said, Dad, we hated, we always didn't want to do it because we know that if we do it, if Daddy comes to you, we're in trouble. We'd rather let mommy beat us, and that's it. So I found that very interesting. Because I thought, because my wife would whip them, and then that's the end of story. But they would say, Dad, no, you will talk to us, and you bring all the stuff. And we're like, oh God, Dad, we only did this thing. So they never really liked that. I noticed that. So I said, this is interesting. Because sometimes what I do is I get a feedback from the kids. I say, let's all sit down. Oh, you guys are all old now. Let's talk. What are the things that you think we could have done better? One thing I remember, sometimes, when you have teenagers, you're going to always run into crazy stuff. One time, all 3 kids or 4 kids were not talking to each other. The first was not talking to the second. And I found out they were very troubling. You don't know how troubling. Can you imagine your daughter not talking to your son in the house? So there's you talk to them. Everybody passes instructions through the third party. They don't mix.
Yep.
So I said, what can I do? So, because I'm always mischievous a little bit, sometimes.
Always.
No.
Always.
Oh, I'll say sometimes.
No, always.
Don't believe them. But what I did was, they just got phones then. That was maybe 10 years ago. So I said, okay, my daughter had a pink phone. My son had a regular phone, the flip phones. So I said, you know what, all of you, guys, why did we get you phones? They said, okay, because we can communicate. That's it, right? That's it. That's the only reason. Not because you can talk to but we can communicate. So your mother can reach you, I can reach you. That's the reason. You all agree? He said, yes, Dad. Okay, give me all your phones. So what is this crazy guy doing? Got all the phones. The first two, I mixed. The first two that were not talking, I got my daughter's phone, the pink, I gave it to my son. I gave his phone to my daughter, and the last two I changed. And they're like, Dad, why am I going to use this? This is the girl's phone. I said, hey, look, you don't have to take it out until you want to make a call, right? Or pick up the phone. The primary purpose of the phone is communication, right?
Yeah.
Guess what happened? They were not talking. They were so upset with me. But, of course, I'm the dad. I paid the bill. So, guess what? They can't do anything about that. And ultimately, my daughter would get calls. My son would, he would have to say, well, you have this person called you. And then he would be expecting his own messages also from her. Well, this person called you also.
Yeah.
So interestingly, they started to talk, grudgingly at first, but they started to talk. Then the most interesting one was the last two. My last born, he always wants to make friends. He's one of those that has 1,000 likes on, he always wants to make friends. So he goes to his older brother's friends. I start sending them texts, all of them, because now he has the phone. I start sending texts, how are you? And they say, this is, he calls his name, and those ones were talking to him. And then my friend would say, Dad, he's getting on my friends. He's taking all my friends. There's an alarm. He's taking all my friends. Oh my God, Dad, he's taking all my friends.
What have you started?
There's some war. So eventually, at the end of this crazy experiment, maybe 3 weeks or a month, they got used to each other's phones and they got talking.
So you forced
gave them back the phone.
their phones.
But now they talked, but they understood the import of it. They didn't like it initially, but they understood
Only
it.
you
So
could come up with
I know, I do crazy stuff like that.
Mischievous.
Today's dad has to be crazy
You
in
have to be
thinking. You have to be very creative.
You have to be creative
So
as well.
that's what I'm going to say. Hey guys, I think I think we had a good talk. But guess what, guys? I know I've listened to you guys. I'm still going to beat you guys on tennis court. You don't know how to
I don't
play.
play
But
tennis.
these guys,
I know how to play
these
tennis.
old guys
Hold on,
play
hold
tennis.
on, hold
on.
Look. Okay, I think we have to end this thing now. Let's end it. Let's end
We're
it.
going to end it.
I am the champ. I am the champ.
I have the last word.
Okay,
You're
all
the
right.
champ, but I have the last word.
Yeah.
How can you have the last word?
Well, if you want to say something now.
Afterwards. I have the next one after you had the last word.
This old man play tennis, just in
Listen,
case you don't know.
listen.
They play tennis.
You've been missing for a while.
Yeah, I know.
And since you've been missing,
What?
there's a new regime in town. A new sheriff, as they say. And guess who's that sheriff?
Kenny
you're
Ricotta.
sheriff
I'll
now?
let you decide. I'll let you.
Gramps, are you going to allow him to say that publicly?
But it's okay. Because we're in church.
Okay, all right. Okay.
I've
We're
given-
men of God,
I've gi-
so we
I've
can't
given
do.
him a few.
Wait,
I've given
okay.
him a few wins
All right,
anyway.
okay,
So don't
all
worry.
right. Well, we have to encourage Park to
We
start
have to
to do
encourage
something.
you to join
Okay,
us.
so don't worry. We'll join
As
us.
they say in church, when people like you show up, what do we do?
Join us.
Join us.
Well, that's it for us. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
It's been nice talking to you guys.
Yes.
Well done.
Wonderful. Nice
Today's
to meet you.
dad.
Wonderful.
Today's dad. Today's granddad.
Oh, today's granddad.
Granddad.
You know, I'm
Kenny.
really surprised that you're granddad.
Thank you.
God bless you all.
Why are you surprised?
I have 5 grandkids.
How old is he then?
We're done.
I'm